welcome to another episode of The Big Idea. I'm your spokesperson, Jason Seymour. I'm your host, Jason Seymour. I'm the spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. We here at the mission started this show because we know that Southeast Asia is filled with so many leaders who have big ideas, and some of those leaders have turned those big ideas into a reality. And we have one such special leader here with us today. It is my pleasure to introduce Rocyie Wong to the program. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
For our audience, Rocyie Wong is very passionate about the issue of skin diseases, specifically psoriasis. And so we have a lot to talk about today. So I welcome you, our audience, to be part of the conversation. If you have any questions about public health, dermatology, skin diseases, psoriasis, we want to respond to your questions. So please share your questions with us in the chat box. As always, if you don't have questions, I have plenty of questions. So my first question for Rocyie is as follows. As I said, you're very passionate about psoriasis and skin diseases, and I would like you to tell our audience, why are you so passionate about this topic?
Hi, guys. My name is Rocyie. So yes, I am incredibly passionate about this topic called psoriasis. It's because I myself have it, and I have been living with psoriasis for the past 14 years, and I've had it since when I was 14 years old. It's been a 14 long journey. And the reason why I'm so I'm doing so much to kind of build up this community in Southeast Asia is because I would like to increase and create more conversations and topics around skin condition in Southeast Asia community because of the stigma that we face, because of the social acceptance that we don't have yet right now. So that's why awareness itself is very, very important. And if you see the work that I do, it's actually mostly to really increase and to really raise awareness for skin condition in Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Now, around the world, everyone's concerned about their skin because it's one of the first things that people see right away. It affects how we interact with people. You appear to feel that Southeast Asians are reluctant to talk about issues related to their skin. Why do you think that might be?
I think it's because of our cultural upbringing. And that like we cannot, I don't think it is just Southeast Asia. I think it's worldwide as well. It's like we how would I put it? Like we put so much of our self-worth on our appearance, and especially our skin texture, our skin color. And if there is any imperfection within the surface of the skin, we do everything that we can to get rid of it. So the first thing that we experience as a person who is living with a skin condition is actually the social rejection from our environment and from our culture, as well as from ourselves. So that is actually a very difficult thing to deal with, to be very honest. Yeah.
If you watch television, if you watch movies, the actors and the actresses, they have perfect skin. You rarely see a character that looks like a normal person because normal people always have some skin imperfections. It could be a scar, they could have a pimple from acne, or they could have a more serious skin condition. It's a normal part of life, but people hide from that. They watch television.
Exactly.
As I said, perfect bodies, perfect faces.
I think when we look back at our journey, right, when it comes to more traditional media, I grew up with a lot of magazines. And at a point of time, the internet was not as widely used as it is right now. So I grew up reading a lot of magazines. And when you look at the magazine, even until today, you could only see heavily edited beauty standard.
Mhm.
So growing up, I've never seen any representation, media representation of skin condition or skin imperfections on any form of media. So and I think that plays a huge part because we grew up wanting to meet these unrealistic beauty standards that is being set upon us. Like your skin has to be white, your skin has to be smooth, your skin has to be like perfect in order to be perceived as beautiful or acceptable. So
Mhm.
I think that is essentially is a very toxic culture that we lived with when we were younger, that we grew up with. And because we grew up with that, it's already embedded inside of us. So it's naturally going to take a long time for us to eventually get out of the shell and start to explore another beauty standards, like even though yes we are progressing currently, I'm so happy to see a lot of like different representations of beauty on social media, on TikTok, on YouTube, or on Instagram itself. But I do believe that we still have so much more to do, and still have so much more to do, especially to meet the need for people with living with chronic skin condition. Yeah.
Mhm. I was really struck by the words you used when you said acceptable, because for many people, it's not just about being beautiful, it's about simply being acceptable. And so people who are struggling with these skin diseases, describe some of the scenarios you've seen in which people just completely isolate themselves from society, from their friends, their family. What are some of the stories you've heard?
Uh, this is the stories that I've heard are actually the stories that I lived with. I mean, I lived in. It is also
Mhm.
my story. So I think the first thing that what we do when we realize that we have a skin condition is that we hide. So we hide by covering up. And I live in a tropical country, so the weather is hot. So you would imagine me wearing long sleeve all the time. It's not comfortable, but we had to do it because if we show our skin, we have to deal with judgment from the other people. And I think it's very normal. I'm not blaming anyone, but I think it's very normal for people to react when they don't understand what's going on, right? They have never seen this type of skin in public. So sometimes people will react negatively. And when that happens, like how do they react that is being deemed as negative is that maybe they give you weird stare, maybe they come up to you and ask you questions very rudely, maybe they just come up to you and ask you to just cover up yourself. These are the experiences that I have lived with, and I've also heard from my peers, like the people from my community. And I remember for me, when I was 18, I was in a public pool area, and I was in the pool, and like my skin was out, obviously in the pool, right? And there was this elderly man. I could really remember him saying like, or if your skin is like that, don't come to places like this.
Mm.
So I mean, it's it if I look back right now, I would say that, oh, that person didn't have the awareness of skin condition. You can give a very logical reason to rationalize the whole experience. But imagine if that happened to a young person, a young kid, a young child, that could possibly be a very traumatizing experience. And for that, people would just hide. Because of that, people just tend to hide more, even more after that, coming like caving in and hiding in their shell. And that affects so much of a person's life because you deal with low self-esteem, low confidence. And when you have low self-esteem, low confidence, it affects every areas in your life, including your relationship, your career, your life, basically everything that you do. So it's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, let's start by serving as educators for our audience. So that man who was very concerned about you going into the pool, I imagine that man didn't know anything about psoriasis. So let's talk about what is psoriasis.
Well, psoriasis is basically a chronic autoimmune skin condition. It happens in a way that it's caused by systemic inflammation. And the word systemic inflammation, what it means is that, so skin condition, this type of chronic autoimmune skin condition called psoriasis, it does not only affect the skin, but it will also affect your nails and your joints. So when you have it on your skin, it's red color like this. It's flaky. It's inflamed. It's itchy, and your skin would be very, very dry. And sometimes when it's really serious, it is very painful as well. If you have it on your nails can feel very tender, and your nails will be the surface area of the nails will reduce, and the shape of the nails will be deformed. And when you press on the nails, it can feel very painful. And if you have it on your joints, is what we call psoriatic arthritis. So it is exactly like having arthritis. But of course, the worst case scenario for this psoriasis is that if your psoriatic arthritis affect the joints nearby your pelvic area, it basically affect you and your mobility. You wouldn't be able to move properly. So you will be bedridden, or you would perhaps require a wheelchair to move around. And the most serious case of psoriasis is actually life-threatening, but that's very rare. Yeah, but there are some cases like this.
Ooh, I have so many follow-up questions. So the first question I'd like to ask, is psoriasis contagious?
Psoriasis is not contagious at all. Like
So
no matter, yeah, like if
so
there's,
oh, sorry.
sorry, yeah. So I was just want to say, like, if there's like exchange of saliva or exchange of bloods or whatever, like injection, yeah, it will not be able to spread by there. Any methods at all, actually.
So when you went into that swimming pool, you were not putting anyone else at risk of obtaining psoriasis from you. And that's really important for people to understand. So if I'm going to get a little personal here, I hope you don't mind, but
go ahead, please.
If you're in a relationship and you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you were kissing that person, you would not give psoriasis to that person.
No.
That's really important for people to understand, because as we were discussing before, people see a slight discoloration in the skin and people think it's contagious, and that's not always the case. So we have to do research. Now, you discovered that you had psoriasis at 14, were you saying, or did you know before at 14 you discovered this?
I think I've had this condition since the age of 9. But when I was 9, the symptoms were really very mild. I only had mild case of dandruff problems. So I took a long while to diagnose it as psoriasis. So initially there was just a lot of dandruff and the itchiness. At the age of 11, 13, 14, it started to itch more. So I started to scratch. So when you scratch, you have wounds on your head. So basically every day I live every day of my life at that point of time, having like an open wound on the top of my head. Every shower was excruciating painful. So eventually at the age of 14, by chance, a family friend pointed out that, hey, you should really go see a doctor about this. And we did. So that's when I was officially diagnosed with psoriasis, and that's how my medical journey started from there as well.
Now, when someone has psoriasis, is it beneficial to find out as soon as possible that you have psoriasis? Were the doctors able to make a difference for you?
Yes and no. The
Mhm.
answer to the question where if it's easier for us to manage our condition if we learn about our condition earlier, the answer is yes. But the thing is, if we follow through the traditional, conventional medical system, is that because we are not being educated about how do we take care of our skin on our own with our changes in lifestyle and diet, but we are just given a lot of medication to suppress the symptoms. So that is actually not very ideal for people with skin condition because essentially it is a chronic condition, which also means that chronic meaning that it's lifelong, and there is in most cases there is no cure. So if we don't learn how to if we are not educated to take care of our skin condition, it's also creating a lot of reliance on medication in the long term, which also can cause so much of side effects in the long run. So we are basically facing like a limited choices right here. And hence, yes, the awareness itself, the diagnosis itself is very, very important. But when it comes to education about true health and wellness at the first point of treatment, that is crucial.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have a comment from one of our audience's members, Skylar, who says, I feel you, stay strong. And you are inspirational to people because you have dealt with a very serious challenge and you have educated yourself and learned more about skin. So you were just saying that we need to understand how to take care of our skin. Because you're right, just taking medication is not always the answer, and certainly not the only answer. We need to understand our bodies and all of our organs. Our skin is our biggest organ. So what are some tips that you've learned along the way that you can share with our audience about taking care of our skin?
Wow, that is a lot to talk about.
Maybe top 2 tips.
So for me, what worked for me was that I switched to a heavily plant-based diet, whole food plant-based. And of course, generally learning how to manage my emotions and channeling out my anxiety with a very healthy way because I can't possibly escape this heavy emotions with alcohol or like being a workaholic or like binge eating. So I had to resort to like healthier options like yoga, like, daily exercises. So these are the things that I took a long time to learn. And most of the time, we tend to really rely on the resources around us. But the thing is, in the end of the day, in order to achieve the best health that we can, is a lot about going back to the basic and also about consistency. Yeah.
Consistency, that's very important. You have to make good habits habits.
Yes.
So good practices and habits. Now, you are involved in what we at the mission call the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative Network. You're an active member and you've had a lot of initiatives and you do a lot of outreach. Tell her, beyond just this personal conversation we're having now, what are some of the initiatives that you've developed to raise awareness about psoriasis?
Well, wow, this is funny because every time when I talk about my advocacy work, it's basically talking about my life because I'm literally putting my life passion into the projects. And I do believe that people living with chronic condition, we do have limited amount of energy every single day. So like to be able to channel out my energy and effort to make this happen, it's truly my dream come true. So that's one. So yeah, so for me personally, my journey started when I was 14 and living through the days ever since then was it was basically like, how would I describe this? It's like you're being thrown to hell and there is no guide for you. There's no guide for you to like, oh, you have a skin condition. This is how you're supposed to live your life. This is what are the changes that you have to do. No, but it's like when you are diagnosed with a skin condition, basically your world basically turns upside down and you need to just learn it day by day to learn to live with this new identity and the whole new life that come with it. So at the age of 14, when I was diagnosed with psoriasis, it was a very huge news because basically I was just being sat down on the chair and the doctor just told me, oh, you have psoriasis and it has no cure. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So that's one that was basically one of the moments that I remember very clearly because it was a very heavy news for a 14-year-old to deal with. So
Right.
at that point of time, I honestly didn't think about it too much, and then I was given a lot of medication, and that's when my medical journey started. Like there was a lot of ups and downs, and going through, like, I would call it medical trauma as well, because every single time the treatments where we were given hopes, and then everything just came crashing down again. So there was a lot of emotional challenges that goes along with it. And at the same time, being 14, when you have physical changes in your appearance, you start to feel very insecure. You start to feel very like low self-esteem. So you tend to just perhaps put up a front in front of your peers, pretend to be happy, but at the same time, when you go back to your house, when you take off your shirt, when you look at yourself in the mirror, that's when you realize, oh, I have this skin condition. So there was a lot of split personality in that sense. And also at the same time, growing up, there were so much of challenges growing up as well, because even though there were a lot of support and resources from the public health sector, it wasn't necessarily the things that I was looking for. I was basically looking for a more long-term solution. And moving forward from there, like growing up as well, going to college, I had to take breaks from college so that I could recover from my flare ups, because my condition basically worsened by the years. So it was really, really hard, because you, at the same time, you know that you are intelligent, you are capable, right? You have this dream that you want to chase after. But at the same time, this huge thing called psoriasis is holding you back. So this condition essentially is, it can steal away your dream life away from you, and it makes you doubt everything that you do. So I think my lowest point hit me when I was, I think, 25. And at that point of time, I just graduated from my university, and I was supposed to land a job that I like. You know, finally my turn to show the world what I'm capable of. And all I wanted to do was just to earn stable income so that I could support my family. That's what I wanted to do, right? But I couldn't. That's when my skin condition hit me the worst. And I had to take break. Like after I got my graduate degree, I had to literally just stay at home to just take care of my health. And at a point of time, I was overwhelmed with guilt, because I just kept telling myself, hey, am I supposed to be doing this? I'm supposed to be working. I'm supposed to be contributing to the society and contributing to my family. And also like to build this dream life that I aspire to be, this person that I aspire to be. But I couldn't do all that. So you watch your peers moving forward right in front of you, where you're just stuck in this hellhole and dealing with the condition itself. And at that point, at my lowest point of my life, I started an initiative. So that's what I called Project Naked. So back in 2018 June, I started this 23 days campaign called Project Naked. So what I did with Project Naked was that I shared about my personal struggle living with psoriasis since the age of 14. So I had help. Like I didn't know how it happened, but I just had help, you know. I had people coming to me, taking photos for me, and people coming to me and like offering to read my script for all the stories that I was supposed to, I wanted to share. And yeah, it launched on the 1st of June. And I think at the point of time, it was a very successful campaign. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it managed to reach about 80,000 people. Because I also had a lot of opportunity from the media to feature my story, and there was a lot of like sharing on social media as well, specifically on Instagram, and people were shocked because they had never seen this representation of skin condition on social media. And because my skin was quite severe, So that was also why people were very shocked as well. Like, oh my God, you have that. Because I've always hide it so well before that. Like everybody was just so shocked that I had a skin condition that basically was tormenting me for so long, because I've always appeared to be a very cheerful person. So that went on for about a month, and on the last day of Project Naked, I basically organized the first event of Safe Space. Safe Space is actually my second project. So what happened was, in the midst of the Project Naked, was that I had so many people with skin conditions started reaching out to me, and they were saying, like, thank you so much for posting your picture, for posting your story, because this is my journey, because it is actually the same struggle. And to be able to see somebody to talk about it so openly without shame, I think that itself was a very comforting thing for a lot of people. And at the same time, that reminded me that when I was younger, I basically was so alone. I was so lonely because I didn't have anybody around me that shared the same struggle. Yes, even though I have people that love me, that support me, but it's different because they don't understand what I was going through. And that thought hit me. I was like, hey, I want to meet people with skin condition. I want to sit down with them face to face and talk about our journey. And that's how Safe Space came about. The first event of Safe Space happened on the end of June. And the first event of Safe Space was just so powerful that even until today, it kept me going on until today to do what I do. Because basically we were seated in a circle, and when somebody started crying, everybody just started crying. We didn't even need to communicate our feelings verbally. We just could understand each other instantly by just being in the same space. And that was very powerful. So yeah, that was a few of the projects that I did. And last year I launched another campaign called Sorhai, PSOARHIGH. That was in collaboration with community leaders from Indonesia and Philippines, to raise awareness for psoriasis in the Southeast Asia community. So that was pretty interesting as well, because I got to get connected with community from other countries, and that's when I realized the power of community when everybody just work together for same goal. So yeah, I guess that's all.
That's all. That's a lot. And I just have to give an accent to what you were saying about the power of community. And we certainly believe that in the mission. That's something we strive to provide for people through the YSEALI program, to give Southeast Asian leaders and young people a sense of community, and to find other people who are going through the same struggles and same challenges. If anyone in our audience is experiencing a skin condition, a skin disease, you are not alone. You are not alone. There are a lot of people who go through this ordeal, this challenge, and if you find each other, it really can make a difference. Obviously, it's important as a family member or a friend. If you aren't going through the same thing, you should still be there for your family members and your friends, but helping people with skin conditions to find other people with skin conditions is very, very helpful. Now, you mentioned a little bit earlier in the program about your interest in eating healthy. We received a question from our audience, from Sarah, about how you've studied to be a holistic nutritionist. And could you comment a little bit more about your studies and your journey to understand the relationship between nutrition and food and our bodies and our skin? If you could comment a little bit more about that.
I guess the reason why I had this intention of studying to become a holistic nutritionist is because I felt very frustrated with the options that I have. when I was first diagnosed with psoriasis. And even though there are so many wellness informations out there at this current time, I believe that people with skin condition requires a very focused type of nutrition for us with skin condition. So knowing how the medical system work worldwide, that also gave me a bigger reason to gain knowledge and experience to start to educate people around me when it comes to health and wellness for people living with skin condition. And when I look back at my journey, taking all the medication that I used to take, like antibiotics, like steroid injection, immunosuppressant. I even was warned, if I start to take this medicine out, perhaps deal with kidney and liver failure. And I was only 21 at that point of time. And that was basically unacceptable for me. And I just told myself, there must be a way out. There must be another way. And that's when I started exploring other traditional healing methods as well, like traditional Chinese medication and Ayurvedic as well. And recently, these few years, I've ventured into functional medicine, integrative medicine. So hence, because of all my experiences and all my research, I decided to get a certified, a certification for myself so that I'll be able to educate the people around me more. In fact, I've been coaching two groups of people since the month of, what was it? Since 5 months ago. Yeah. And they have shown a lot of positive changes in their skin. And I think what I'm trying to do right here is to kind of like educate and raise awareness when it comes to really taking care of our health. It's not just taking medication. If you have a skin condition or any other skin condition, this condition, this health condition is going to affect you mentally, emotionally, and physically. So if a condition is affecting you mentally, physically, and emotionally, taking medicine is not going to do you a lot of good other than just suppressing your symptoms temporarily. It is so important for us to take charge and take accountability and be responsible for our state of health so that we can build a better relationship between us and our body so that we can live a happier life down the road. Because no matter how much we are earning right now, no matter how much wealth that we're able to accumulate at this point of time, if we don't have the health to enjoy it, we will probably end up spending all the money on our health later on our life, right? So that is basically another really another huge passion of mine. So I am just really realizing my passion right now. Yeah.
I completely agree. And everyone should think very carefully about anything that one puts into his or her body or puts on his or her body. So many people take medications or they put on makeup or they put on sunscreen, but they never look at the label. They never think about the chemicals. All medication has certain side effects. So no matter what you're putting in the body, you should be consulting with doctors or nutritionists or looking online, paying attention to how your body reacts to things. Don't put anything on your body or eat anything without giving some thought to that. So we're in complete agreement on that. Well, we only have a few minutes left, and I do want to squeeze in a question. I know you went to the United States on a program, so could you tell our audience, where did you go in the United States?
I was in Omaha, University of Omaha in Nebraska. It is in the Midwest area, and like I've never imagined myself being there, but it was basically one of the most amazing experience in my life. Like be in the same space as other inspiring leaders from 11 other countries in Southeast Asia. The learning curve was so steep because every single day we're just learning new things from the program itself and also from the people around me. That was really amazing.
Well, I'm so glad you got to go on that program. And please, if you're listening in the audience, sign up for our social media platforms because we advertise when we have application times to be a part of these leadership trainings that we offer. And you also get the opportunity to go to the United States. We've had a bit of hiccups because of the COVID days, but travel will return. We know it'll happen in the future. So please look out for that. And of course, one element is you don't only just meet Americans, but you meet other Southeast Asians. So quick question for you. If you could travel to the United States in 2022, what would be your dream city? Where would you want to visit?
Wow, what a good question. I think I would want to go Washington, D.C.
I love
because
DC.
I would want to visit all the museums again. It was really an eye-opening experience learning about the history, not only about the United States, but the worldwide, what's happening, what's going on, and being in that space itself. That was just incredibly, I don't know, just very special experience for me.
Well, if you ever do go to DC, be sure to let me know because I'm going to create some groups that you can speak to because you're inspirational and you have a lot to say. I do want to ask you one more question. I hope to get to Malaysia. I've never had the chance to to visit Malaysia, and some of our audience members from Southeast Asia haven't been there either. So what's one place or one activity we must do when we visit Malaysia?
Oh my God. I'm gonna bring you to the beach. I'm going to bring you to the beach. Oh my
All
God.
right.
It's so amazing. It's so nice. Oh, I miss it. Oh my God. Talking about this in the midst of pandemic, it's making me a little bit sad, but it's okay. It's okay. The good times will return.
Well, thank you so much, Rocky, for joining us for the show. You really moved me. You moved our audience. You have an amazing story, and you are you're so amazing in the way that you have taken this challenge and you have said, I am not going to bury myself in a hole. I'm not going to disappear from the world. I have words to say. I have experiences to share. I can inspire others and be a role model because we all have challenges. Every one of us has some kind of challenge and we need to push through that challenge, share our voice with the world, make an impact, be a leader, share our gifts with the world. That's what I have been reminded about today by talking to you. So thank you so much for joining our program.
Thank you for having
And
me.
thanks to our audience for joining us for another episode of The Big Idea. Until the next time, and let me say quickly, some of our audience members shared a thought for a future program. We're always open to your ideas. Share your ideas in the comments. And that's what I have. I'll have to wrap it up there. So again, thank you to Rocky. Thank you to our audience. And until the next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.